We're going to start off with Moritz on plot number 30, and man, this might be one of the most stacked lists yet. Now, every house included here has done something unique or special that I hadn't seen anywhere else, and for Moritz here, it's the way that it sort of blends in with the surrounding area. The border of the fences here are the border of the plot, and yet it flows into that NPC area to the side very, very well. In fact, I may even go as far as to say that this is the perfect way to build this plot. It fits so nicely with the surrounding area, and it just looks like it belongs here. Excellent work from Moritz. If you're liking the Housing Showcase videos, don't forget to subscribe, and an extra special shout out to the new channel members, Tracy, Hinote, and BluestCheese. Thank you so much for your support. Up next, we've got Bjorgas on plot number 44, and we'll get to what makes this one in particular unique in just a moment, but first it is worth taking the time to appreciate the other things that they have around outside here. We can see they've used these sized up apple trees to blend their house into the surrounding area to make it feel as though the surrounding forest continues in harmony with the home rather than in spite of it. To the right here, we've got that lovely fountain that we saw on the last plot with some benches around it that makes for a very nice observation area for the views around this plot. I deeply appreciate the inclusion of the doghouse and a lovely little chicken coop. And of course, in the back here, we've got the classic corner outhouse. But as we come around behind the home, we can see the thing that makes this house stand out. And it's this side area here. Now, there's actually a lot to appreciate about this side area, and the longer you look at it, the more you notice. First of all, the vines coming down from the trellises above are very nice to look at, but more so, this wall here is actually quite unique. They've taken the Gilnean stone wall item and flipped it upside down, clipped it into the floor, in order to create this sort of flat-topped wall that we see. I hope as this feature goes live, we get to see more of these ingenious, inventive ways to combine items together to create an item that doesn't actually exist, but that fits the home's aesthetic well. Up next, we've got Moosu on plot number 24. And we'll see what makes this home unique when we go inside. But first, of course, let's take a second to appreciate the outside that they have here. Moosu has taken advantage of the excellent view that this plot has, especially with the ocean out in the distance, and has created a couple of viewing areas. To the side, we've got a beautiful little chicken coop, as well as a stone path that goes down to the actual beach side. And of course, over on the left here, we've got that classic outhouse. But it's when we get inside where we see what makes this so unique. And first of all, this giant centerpiece fireplace is so cool. The bone dragon coming off the front of it is a great way to accentuate it. To the left here, we have a custom window, using the skybox room that you may have seen before to create a window that looks three-dimensional, that looks as though it goes out into the outside. Now, this troll Dazaralor style bed is one that I hadn't seen before, and I can't wait to see how more players might incorporate this into, say, a troll-themed home. But it's when we come into the last room here that we see the little surprise that makes this home unique. Moosu has created an actual working stables, and this is really cool. The different dividers between the different stable areas, the use of a door clipped into the floor to create that sort of barn door that you would expect, using the leaves at the bottom of every one of these stable areas as though it's like the hay that goes at the bottom. It's just a really clever way to do all of these things. And Blizzard, if you ever get around to letting us show off our mounts, which please do, by the way. You can imagine Moosu having all of their favorite mounts in each of these different stable areas, and I would love if Blizzard were to add that functionality. Up next, we've got Moonlilly on plot number 29, and first and foremost, this sideways tree coming out of a rock is a very nice way to frame the entrance to your plot. I love how Moonlilly has combined these two different fountains together in a way that makes it feel like its own item. And as we come to the side of the fountain, we can see this beautiful sun rays coming through the trees and this gorgeous view of the front of their house. And of course, anytime we see a gazebo, we've gotta check that view. We can see over to the left there, we've got this fishing dock that is actually part of the plot itself. And if we are to go ahead and take a look inside, we can see this magnificent centerpiece created by combining quite a few different items together in one. There's cushions, there's fountains, there's pillars, there's marble platform, all of them fused together in a way that sort of elevates that tree centerpiece that we've seen in some houses before. The shrine area over to the left here is another lovely addition to the plot, and the way that they've used the different leaves and other bushes and vines to create the sort of undersoil for the other plants is quite unique. As we go down the hallway, I do appreciate the use of nature to frame this bell, but we can see the technique that makes this plot unique. It's this little step up here. Now, this might not seem like anything special if you haven't engaged with the housing system before, but it's an addition that actually gets more cool the more that you think about it, because there are a lot of different possibilities that come when you separate the elevation of your home in just these slight different ways. It adds a lot of personality to the different rooms around here. The step up and step down allow for a different kind of differentiation that you don't get natively out of the housing system. And if you look closely at some of the walls, you'll notice that some of them are further out than others. There's an element of added depth that Moonlilly has managed to create. And it's the addition of this extra depth that helps set this plot apart. In fact, we can see this principle even on the way out, where you step up the stone onto the wood in order to access the door. Really cool proof of concept from Moonlilly on plot number 29. At number 5 here, we've got Voidhorn on plot number 14. And it's from this point onward in the list that we get to the houses that are fully fleshed out unique ideas. Every home included from here on out has taken that special thing that helps their house stand out and has elevated it, magnified it to the entire plot. The seating area here seems extremely relaxing next to the fountain and all of these trees, and you'll notice that all of the foliage here sort of frames the opening of the home. It sort of invites you to come on in. And when we go inside, we can see the reason for that. Voidhorn here has not created a home for themselves, they've created this whole fully fleshed out hotel. There's different rooms all about, different bathrooms and bathtubs. Everything is laid out to create this sort of hostel vibe, as though multiple different people could stay here at the same time and get along very well. In fact, Voidhorn has made their entire home fit this different idea, fit this different aesthetic. As we go up to the second floor here, we can see that there are different separate seating areas. I do have to say, it's very clever of Voidhorn here to use all of these trellises as dividers. Trellises are a pretty ingenious tool here because they do provide the sort of structural separation between these areas, but the openings within the trellis that let you see through to the other areas help to keep this area feel more public and more inviting, sort of more communal in a way. And the top floor here is absolutely sublime. Whereas a lot of people had used these different food items as sort of storage in the back, here they're all displayed prominently because, again, this is a public space. It sort of puts out all of the food available for all of the people here. I love the way that this kitchen transitions into this seating area behind here, where the cozy lighting and the fire and, of course, the stag on the mantelpiece help to create that sort of faux homey vibe that you get out of hotels. I did check, and yes, this is a secret bookshelf, but no, there's no secrets behind it. As we come around behind us, we can see the tragic end of our friend Rattle there, as they fall multiple stories down to their death. And of course, we do have to mourn the loss of our dear friend Rattle, who, by the way, does have a home later on this list. Rest in peace, Rattle. You will be missed. Up next, we've got Haggoreg on plot number 28. And as we enter inside, the first thing that we see is this elegant spiral staircase to the top. Because the first thing this house does is force you to go upstairs, because this house is a tree house. I love the way that depth is used here to emphasize the sort of aesthetic that they're going for with the home. We've got this fully furnished kitchen area to the side here that has been divvied up in a way that allows for free movement all around, something that I quite like. To the back here, we see an elvish-style bedroom, complete with that unique orange window in the back here that really hadn't been utilized too often on the PTR. As we pass the homely lampposts and look to the right, we see this absolutely pultriginous walkway into the rest of the home. We can see the different leaves and vines and other nature elements sort of flow in and out of the banister and of the wooden platforms that they have here. Some go across, some go underneath, some don't touch at all. And when combined with all of these other Tauren items, it creates this sort of tasty combination of these different aesthetics into one. In the back here, we can see the work in progress element of this home. Haggoreg says that in the future, they plan to incorporate this daylight room in some way, but for now, it's just a beautiful view as you take a bath here over on the side. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, why the second floor? Well, it's not just to create the feeling of height. If we go onto the first floor, we can see that all of the foliage, the canopy that we saw up above, is a real canopy. In other words, the treehouse up above isn't faked, it really is a treehouse. There really are a ton of trees down below that all create the divine, naturalistic feel of the above area. I cannot wait to see what Haggoreg is able to come up with once this goes live. Now at number 3 here, we've got Housingtest on plot number 53. And right off the bat, we can see the inclusion of some different elements that we haven't seen on any other houses before. I'm talking, of course, of this giant thing that's sort of attached to the side of the house here. I enjoy how this device here, whatever it is, can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. You may feel that it is an extension of the home. Maybe it's a chimney of some kind. Maybe that there's something inside the home that is being tinkered with. It's actually pretty nice how one item can be so fanciful in that way, how one item can communicate a whole bunch of different interpretations all at once. To the front of the house here, we can see more of a traditional layout for some of the items here. We've got a giant scaled up keg that empties out into these little barrels here. I did have to check, and yes, these barrels are filled with berries of some kind, so you can sort of assume, alongside the bread cart here, that this is a home where something is produced. And that continues to this sort of furnace area to the side here, to the wagon and the inclusion of these barrels, as well as this sort of tinker storage area on the side. But just as before, what makes this home so unique is the inside. Now at first, this doesn't look like anything. We're in a small cupboard with a moonwell to our left and some bookshelves on the right. But if we were to open the door that's in front of us, we can see this irresistible, beguiling nature greenhouse type thing as the main home. Yes, this area here is small, but in a way it feels much larger. It feels open and inviting. The lighting from all of the different windows to the sides and front here makes this area much brighter than even the outside, which actually creates this calming feeling that's kind of hard to describe unless you're actually there. Even more so, there are little surprises hidden about. You've probably seen the flamingo out to the side there, but there are others too. If we look to the right, we can see a stag head put at such an angle that it looks as though there's a real deer in the back there. You can see that a ton of love and care went into creating this one inside area, and frankly, I find this area to be quite an inspiration. Now at number 2 here, we've got Inspector on plot number 39. And already you can see something that this house does that we had not seen anywhere else. We've got this custom border wall that goes around the perimeter of the house here. And the effort that Inspector has gone to make each and every one of these straight-lined squares fit into a perfectly round circle provides such a winsome appeal to the whole thing. When we go inside, we can see this sort of church vibe. We've got all of these pews looking forward at the lectern there, and now you can see how the wall outside helps to provide the chapel-type feeling that this whole area was going for. But of course, this home has a lot more than meets the eye. If we were to go to the back here and see this secret bookshelf door and use it, whoa, look at that. What a magnificent centerpiece. I love the use of the Blood Elf aesthetic here, the custom stairs that lead us to the top past this amazing centerpiece, these burning braziers, this sort of feeling of hidden riches behind the church area, as though the whole church thing is just a front. In the back here, we've got this smashing bedroom with the cute little knickknacks up on the top there. And if we are to go to the bottom and take a look at the middle area past this red curtain here, another nice expression of the die system, we can see that this has even more going for it. I mean, what an incredible center area! The floating books here are such a charming addition. It adds a whole lot to the aesthetic of the room, way more than you'd honestly expect. I'm actually not sure where this floating book item comes from. This is the only plot that I had ever seen use the item, but it fits so well. It reminds me a little bit of the Scarlet Monastery, if you remember that final boss there that was burning books at the end. I mean, such an exceptional use of all of these different items together. It looks magnificent. This elvish area is already a knockout room for any home. This on its own would deserve the inclusion on any of these lists, and yet all of it is hidden behind this clever little church pew area. Absolutely stellar work from Inspector here. And now at number 1, we've got our old friend Rattle on plot number 41. I am so excited to show this home. I cannot wait until we see what's hiding on the inside. But of course, the outside here has a lot going for it as well. We've got that monk statue sitting there, which is a really nice item, honestly. I'm kind of surprised that we don't see it used more often. Now, one thing this outside area does quite well is create this sort of canopy across the outer areas. All of these giant trees have been sized and placed in such a way that they create this sort of overhang throughout most of the plot. Now, going inside, we can see that this is a fully furnished home. We've got this lovely open area with a fireplace and a couch, and already we can see some unique elements that hadn't been used anywhere else. I'm really happy with the use of the stone paths on the wall here to create this accented piece. It's a pretty ingenious way to use these items, and I'm really excited to see what people come up with in the future to create different textures on their walls, especially since a lot of the options that we have baseline just might not be something that people want. Into this second room here, we can see the bathroom. We, of course, have the classic bathtub. We've got a divider before getting to the toilet. And as always, we do have to check how they've managed to make their own custom toilet. And in this case, it is a barrel and a box stacked together with the Monk Order Hall scroll as the toilet paper. In the bedroom here, we've got this unique chest item with its own animation. I would love to see more of these interactable items in the future. But of course, as we get to the back here, we can see a secret bookshelf door that leads us to something amazing. Now, as we walk through this door, we can see the vibes of the whole place shift immediately. We've got this stony, rocky area with the cobwebs and the overgrowth that honestly kind of gives me the vibe of like a Skyrim home. You know how there's a couple of buildings in Skyrim that are the sort of tavern area in the front, but you go through the back and there's, a mine or something behind it? I think this hits that aesthetic quite well. In the back here, we can actually see custom doors that Rattle has made themselves using the wood planks and a different candle piece. And then as we turn to the left, we can see why all of this aesthetic is included. Look at this room. I am at a loss for words to describe how good this waterfall looks. I mean, first of all, there's actual running water, which on its own is so impressive. The way that they've clipped different fountains into the wall, but you can't even tell. The use of mirrors on their side to look as though there is water there on the ground is absolutely fantastic. I love the detail work of the stone all the way up, the way that these different vine items sort of grow together as though it's one longer growth that goes all the way down, but they're actually a bunch of separate items that have been merged. If we can bear to peel our eyes away from this amazing waterfall for just a moment, we can see this Pandaren stove item on its side to create an archway for the door into this back sort of ritual area. The purple trees and crystal around the back here create this sort of ominous type vibe in a way, as though there's something more than just decoration going on, if you know what I mean. Rattle has helpfully gone onto the table and died to show us that this is something a little bit more than just a table. It kind of gives the vibe that there are sacrifices or rituals or some sort of magic happening in this back room. It really is beguiling how all of these different items combine to create such a knockout aesthetic for the whole area. But of course, we've got to look at this again. I mean, it's absolutely irresistible. It's bewitching the way that this waterfall is able to so effectively integrate itself into the side areas that it looks as though this entire house was built around this cave area. And those of you with a sharp eye may have even noticed that at the very tippy top of the waterfall is an outhouse, which has quite the implication for the different water that is flowing down here. In fact, I want you to keep in mind how alluring this whole centerpiece is as we exit out the house, because going backwards through the home has its own kind of effect. We start out in this cave area, this overgrown with cobwebs and different rocks and different elements, and then we exit out into a fully furnished home. Remember, the toilet and the toilet paper are completely unique creations by Rattle, but the fact that all of this is the same home as that amazing, magnificent, tasty, divine, elegant, exquisite, vertiginous, homely, glamorous, charming,